Okay. Hello everyone, and welcome to Good Matters. That's right, I've named the show. It was time. I'm Rachel Parker Chavez, and I'm here because I think it makes so much sense to use business to create good in the world, and that's what the show is all about. Practical advice and inspiration to help you build a business that makes the world better. If you've ever felt apprehensive about moving forward into the unknown, especially in your business, this episode is for you. We're talking about slaying that fear and the mindset that it takes to make those bold moves. If you've been following along with us, you know I've been spending time connecting with social entrepreneurs and nonprofit founders and experts in all things social good business to bring you inspiring interviews that, of course, also have a practical takeaway, because I want you to be both inspired and equipped to build a business that makes an impact. Our first interview is with someone I feel crazy blessed to call a friend. Former teacher turned social entrepreneur and fierce community builder, Sarah Jung, founder of As We Dwell. As We Dwell is a creative co-working space that promotes authentic and intentional community for independent professionals, entrepreneurs, and small business owners, as well as a versatile event space perfect for product launches, corporate events, workshops, and anything else you may need a beautiful and unique space for. Today, Sarah and I are talking about what it takes to build authentic and productive community, and how she's gone beyond her four walls to really affect change within her city as well. We're also talking about her journey, taking a huge leap of faith into entrepreneurship, what she's learned along the way, and the mindset you need to make bold moves too. Check it out. Thank you so much for taking the time, because I know you're extremely busy, you have stuff going on all the time, but I'm excited because I think that your story is so amazing and what you're doing here is so fantastic, and so I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that. So I did an intro about kind of more you and the space, but give us a little bit of background still about just how this came to be and like what it is to you.
Yeah. So about a year and a half ago, I started up a business called Faithful Artisans, and it started in a space that was it was like a co-working space as well. And although we didn't do collaborative work, I found so much value in being in a space together and seeing other people working and going after their dreams. And I just was so inspired every day to just really continue on with where I was headed with Faithful Artisans. When it was time to transition out of that space, really felt like I wanted to be able to curate something like that, but really intentionally make it focused on community. So a lot of collaborative work taking place, a lot of just, like co-working without a hyphen, making it about what can we do together, what can we create together, so that we can really champion one another in those moments when we're hitting a wall, because we all go through that, we all go through our ups and downs. And so instead of working at home or a coffee shop on your own, when you're around other people and you're hitting that wall, you'll have other people to be able to be like, hey, I'm here. One of the things that I really wanted other people to know, even especially the dwellers in this space, is that this is not my space, but rather it's our dwelling place together. I just simply curated it, but we're working together to create this community. And I really feel that it's so important to not stay within the four walls of this building, but really being able to like go out as well too.
Talk a little bit more about that. I know like the community aspect is really important in here in the space, but like talk a little bit more. I love what you're doing out in the community as well.
So I really did pay attention to the fact that our neighbors are right over, where Skid Row is located, where the homeless community is. And every day I would drive in and see them, and my heart would break. And it's just like I felt this like tug and pull towards them. So I thought, gosh, I want to connect with my neighbors, and they are my neighbors. I think, so for me, I just love people. I love interacting with people, and what I enjoy most is like the one-on-one interaction and really being able to hear the other person's story. And so for me, I just knew that if I want to feel like I'm alive every day, like that has to be a part of my life. We did an awareness event with Faces of Santa Ana.
Yeah.
And from there, I really just wanted to make sure that we didn't leave that event just simply being inspired.
Yeah.
I think so many of us, we get inspired, and then what do we do after that? So I really wanted it to be where I had something set up afterwards that we're putting it into action. So, although I didn't have all the details figured out, I just knew that I wanted to make sure that there was a follow-up. So the following week, I announced it at the awareness night. If anyone wants to come with me into our homeless community, we're just going to simply take some popcorn, some snacks, and take our art pads and paper and pen, and we're just going to hear their story and then sketch their portraits. And so that's exactly what we did. There were 7 of us. We went out there. At first it was kind of scary because I didn't know where it was, where I was. But after a little bit of time, like the moment the first artist started drawing the portrait of this one individual, like at first they had all these walls and they didn't want to connect with us, but the moment they saw what he was doing, like you can see like the walls just like crumbling down. And we were able to connect with them, and we sat with them, heard their story. They were like lining up and saying, "Can I get a portrait as well too?" So really saw something super beautiful and powerful there.
It's so beautiful. Something that stood out though as you're speaking is that you said, I didn't have all the details figured out, I just went for it. And that's something for me, being able to get to know you, Sarah, is like, oh my goodness, you have just this amazing faith. And like when we're talking, that often seems to be kind of the general theme of a lot of like your life stories is like, I didn't have all the details figured out, but I just went for it. And I think that's huge as an entrepreneur, especially just to be able to be willing to like take that step of faith. Could you just talk a little bit about that and kind of what that's looked like?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I learned over the years is that everyone has dreams. We all have dreams. So it's with that dream, we have a choice of what to do with it. And I think I wouldn't say like I always like jumped at it before, but definitely I had a very life-altering experience where life and death became so real for me. And when that became so real, like I started to like really understand in my heart that I don't know that tomorrow ever really exists in the most positive way. And so with that, I really believe like if I have this thing that's like brewing inside of me and it's like tugging at me so much, I'm just gonna do it. And what's the worst case that will happen? Like, sure, I'll fall on my face, but then I get to get right back up.
Yeah, so good. And I think that's a message like for sure people in general, but absolutely entrepreneurs need. How did that kind of faith play into when you decided to take that leap with As We Dwell? Like how much of an influence did that kind of mindset have?
It definitely, that's the reason this place exists. I mean, the timing of that, like I knew that I've always wanted some sort of space for people to come and gather and create together and things, but I really at first thought it was this more of not so much a business, but rather just something I was gonna do like as a passion project or on the side. But as I made that decision to transition out of my first career as a teacher, and I'm now gonna then give this entrepreneurial whatever adventure a shot, I was like, if I'm gonna give it a shot, then I better like go all in. And so I started to like really look for spaces, and I was one closed door after another. It wasn't easy. And it got to a point where I'm like, okay, maybe I'm dreaming too big. Maybe me trying to get this space is just way too far off. But I gave it one more shot, talked about it one more time to a person, and that person right away said, I think we may have a space for you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And it just so happened that she was a manager of a building, and she felt like my vision aligned with a space that they may have had. And I walked in here and I just knew, like every inch of me knew, like this is it. And so it took 2 days for me to make the decision that I'm gonna do it. So the following week, I signed the lease. And the following week, construction broke and we started building it out. 3 weeks later, I opened the door to this space. So yeah, faith is the very reason why.
And leaping.
Yeah.
I mean, like, for those of us who are incredibly like, oh, I need to take so long to decide and look and choose, which like really holds people back, I think.
I realize it's always a win-win. You jump and you find out that it's not, great. you're headed in the right direction. And then if you jump and it is right, perfect. You're heading in the right direction. So I really see it as a win-win either which way.
Yeah, that's great advice. If there was one thing, this is something I like to ask everyone, if there was one thing that you would have liked to have known at the beginning of your journey, is there something that stands out?
Oh yeah. Finances, budgeting, like
Sure.
thankfully I did have the finances to be able to like start it up.
Right.
So it wasn't as if those things didn't exist.
Yeah.
But if I did a better job of budgeting it and also maybe even sitting with somebody who is an expert with finances, I think that could have been super beneficial for me.
Yeah.
So I'm like now in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Learning from all my mistakes
Yeah.
and backpedaling, but it's been great. I'm going back and fixing it.
Yeah.
But
Which is also a great lesson, right?
Yeah.
I think sometimes we get caught up being so worried that we're not going to make the right choice that like it's paralyzing. And if you know that most things you can go back and fix, like try to be as cognizant of what you're doing as possible to the best of your ability, but you're not going to ever know everything right away.
Absolutely. Just being honest with yourself and saying like, trying not to even put up a front and saying like, oh, I can do this, but really saying like, you know what, I can't do this. And sure, like I tried and I failed at it, and it's okay to like say, you know what, now I need to like bring in someone else who's an expert in that area. Because we're not.
Can't be experts in everything.
Yeah.
As much as I think that's our culture tells us that we should be. But that's just not reality. I work, with people who are really wanting to use business to make an impact and to make a difference in the world. So what would you say to them if they're like just thinking about it or just starting out?
Yeah. I think number one thing, you have to know your why, your purpose. Like, if you don't know that, then there's going to be so many compromises made. And so it's like before you start anything, it's just you have to even believe in the why and that purpose as well. And there will come a point where you will deviate from it. But if it's so ingrained in you, you'll find your way back to the why and the purpose. So that is very essential. The second thing is, I think it's really important that you're really passionate about it and that you love what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're making a decision because like, oh, I see that this is a moneymaker, or I see that this is the new trend, your heartbeat isn't there, So at one given point, you're gonna lose interest. It's not gonna matter to you. So I would say like, look within yourself. Is this something like you're super passionate about and you just love? Like, does it like stir something in you? Does it do something, more than just something ordinary? You just know. So, that would be my advice, is just to know those two things and to not go after the money, the trend, the sparkly things, it's got to be substantial things.
So as we're kind of wrapping up, I'd love to hear just like, how can people connect with you? Like, what's the best way to learn more about As We Dwell and like coming? And I know you have tons of amazing events and things always going on. So what's like the best way for people to really follow up and keep up with As We Dwell and with you?
Okay, so the best way would be to go online, www.aswedwell.com. Okay. We have an Instagram too, As We Dwell. And then you can always email me, hello@aswedwell.com. But I love meeting people, so if they can just walk into the space, and then I'd love to like hear their story, what their needs are, like dream together, whatever that may be. Like, so yeah, I would say, come on in.
You guys, I'm so inspired by her boldness, and I hope you are too. If you know of anyone who needs a bit of motivation or just a push to make a leap or take a bold move forward, please share this with them. As Sarah said, it's always a win-win because at least you're moving, and so you can know when you're going in the right direction. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to send them my way. And don't miss a thing by signing up for Defining Good updates, tools, and free resources on defininggood.com. Remember, you have a unique voice and a distinct circle of influence, so you can choose to ignore it or you can use it to change the world. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.